Hello again, VC. This is Seeking a Thread, a relatively new channel, and I'm jumping in on this thread, Vinyl Tag 2021. I love this idea. I've watched a few of these videos already. I've watched them in the past, and I just started making videos in November, so I'm pretty new to this. Been collecting records for 25 years, so I've been a vinyl guy for a long time. And I also do a radio show, which links are below. I've been doing that for about 6 years. I'm almost up to episode 300 there. I play all kinds of things. If you don't know, my main sort of wheelhouse is psych and post-punk, a lot of like 80s and 90s indie rock, a ton of jazz. I like a lot of everything. So this kind of a list is great for me, and Tales from the Crate, thanks for putting it out there. Great channel. I love your picks as well. And I share some of your issues with listening these days. My kids are 9 and 6, and it sort of has created a lot of less time to listen to records. But throughout the pandemic in 2020, I did find some new stuff and lots of examining. So let's get into it. My 2020 discovery, and I showed this in my Vinyl Finds of the Year, is Denny Gerard. Now this is a UK folk rock album, one and only album, Sinister Morning. This is on the Decca Nova series. This is from 1970. And he previously only had like one released single under Denny, I forget the title of here's the back cover. Really cool. I forget the other thing he did, but this is fantastic. I first saw this mentioned by Steve Krakow, Galactic Zoo Dossier, Plastic Crime Wave, Chicago Secret History of Chicago Music, one of my favorite sort of music guys, and definitely a psych head. He mentioned this somewhere in one of the Facebook Now Playing groups, which I don't really do much posting to anymore, but this is fantastic. It walks the line of folk rock in the style of Fairport Convention, and but with jammier vibes. Like I think of the Mark Fry album Dreaming for Alice as a more of an acid folk, but this has touches of that, and there's some real exploratory moments. This is a beautiful album, never been reissued. I finally decided to pop on a price that was fair, and here we have it. Denny Gerard, 2020 Discovery of the Year. Okay, a quarantine buy. This is not vinyl, but it is the Neil Young Archives Volume 2. Crazy, ridiculous package. If it was vinyl, I probably would have bought it. I'm a big Neil Young fan. This has been like the perfect quarantine buy. There's been a lot of quarantine buys. This has been perfect to go through all the different volumes and hearing all the different versions and new tracks. Ideal time to do this, and it's been a lot of fun. I'll also use it as a time to sort of talk about my other channel with my son, Quarantine Hearts, in which we examine the Neil Young archives, or the Neil Young catalog. We went and listened to every single album, and we did a video for each. You can find that. Quarantine Hearts is my other channel. But this is quite the quarantine buy. Neil Young Archives Volume 2 in this ridiculous box. Okay. A 2021 find that you want to see pressed, or one of my favorite thing I want to find, I've been looking for. Let's talk about Brenda Ray and Naffy Sandwich. These are the records I have by her, early 45. Now she is sort of comes from the post-punk school, but she's basically doing like experimental dub reggae. Very breathy, sort of calming voice, meditative. Almost, she sounds like it's surprising she hasn't worked with Adrian Sherwood, because she comes from his sort of school of experimenting with reggae. And I have a bunch of Brenda Ray and Naffy Sandwich related things here. But the one I want most, and this is what I can't find, I've been looking for a long time, is this, which I have on CD, Brenda Ray Walata. Recorded in the early 90s, but she's using all rhythms from the classic era of dub in the 70s. This was released by a label called EM Records out of Japan, and it was printed in a limited, I think, of 500 silk-screened copies on vinyl in 2012. And I used to work at Kim's in New York City, and I remember, rather than popping the $25 for the record, I was like, I'll just get the CD. And man, I really regret that, because the LP never comes up for sale, and I recently did, and it was in like bad condition. Hasn't been reissued other than that, and I just can't I couldn't even have a chance to buy it for a crazy amount of money because it never comes up for sale unless this reissue does. I'm hoping someone else reissues it, but this is the one I'm always looking for and never comes up for sale. Brenda Ray Malata. She's amazing. A box set. Okay, I bought a few box sets this year. Let's talk about this one. Pylon. This box set's fantastic. I already had the first two albums originally on DB Records. This box set is beautiful. One of the most amazing art books in here. Some incredible pictures, gig posters, and the two albums are remastered, as well as their first demo tape called the Raz tape, and all the extras as a separate LP, 4 LPs. This band's amazing, out of Athens, Georgia. Gang of Four style post-punk, but better, and I love Gang of Four. Pylon box. Okay, concept album. I showed this in my krautrock collection videos I did. This is Gilla's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, and this is a German krautrock record, psychedelia, cosmic space rock. But they sort of did a record, I'm not sure what the connection is, maybe they have Native American family, but they did a record all about Native American struggle, and that's what this is. But it's sort of right in the pocket of German krautrock. This is original pressing in German on Warner Brothers. Really great. Florian Frick is in here, who would be in Popol Vuh. Otherwise, they've had a few other records. This is the only one I have, and it's stellar. You can find reissues of this. Here they are in the back. Concept album. Next, an artist that changed directions. I noticed Blind Island showed Tom Waits' Swordfish trombones. I definitely agree. I was going to do that maybe, but here's my choices. One of my all-time favorite records, Link Wray's self-titled album for Polydor. Well, we all know Link Wray's what he did in the 50s, late 50s, 60s. His pioneering songs, style that's like unlike no others. So many people influenced by him, but this is sort of like a swampy country rock album, and it's got some of the best songs he made, for sure, and a record that I've listened to more than, this could really qualify as something I've listened to more than anything else, but I've listened to this one constantly. One of the few records that I turned on to by like maybe 10 years ago. A Spotify recommendation, or it might at that time been Pandora. Like I was listening to something like jumps onto the first track off this La Di Da. What is this? I immediately sought it out, started listening to it obsessively, and found this Polydor. This is a record you can get, not too much, 30, 40 bucks maybe. It's a little bit pricey, but not crazy. I highly recommend it. His ones after this were good, but this is the one to have. Self-titled, Link Wray, 1970. White label promo. Got a lot of those. I sort of went with the most recent one. Nightcrawlers, the Little Black Egg on cap. White label. This mono promo. If you don't know Nightcrawlers, garage psych, basically more on the garage side of things. With My Little Black Egg, or the Little Black Egg, is sort of the track on this. Great song. Great drum rhythm. And the rest of the LP is really great too. It's my white label promo on cap. This is from 1967. What do we have next here? Compilation. Could have chosen a million things in this. I have so many great African compilations. But I went with the first thing that came in mind because, speaking of Quarantine Hearts, we finished all the Neil Young albums, listened to, and did a video on each. Now we're doing the Velvet Underground, so you can check those out, and I thought of this. The Velvet Underground and Nico, as covered by Castle Face Records and Friends. This came out 2012, and it's song by song, covered by different bands on brown vinyl. So many great Ty Segall's on here. Kelly Stoltz, White Fence, one of my favorites. Great. White Fence is amazing. We have the OCs, another one of my favorites, and the Mallard, Burnt Ones, all Castle Face bands, and they do great versions of this. Can't recommend this enough. This is great. I mean, if you love the Velvet Underground and want to hear it on a different take, check this puppy out. With a banana and everything. Too bad they didn't make a weird cartoony peelable banana, but whatever. Great comp. What's next? Oh, an album that presents a story. So I understand he wanted to Tales from the Crate. You wanted to pick an album that sort of had a story about it, not an album that's like a story. So I went with something from my jazz collection Dodo Green on Blue Note, My Hour of Need. Now, this has to do with my past. About 20-something years ago, 25 years ago when I was in college. Dodo Green is a jazz vocalist, if you don't know her. Kind of an obscure one. This isn't really an expensive record either, but she's not really known. She is out of Buffalo, and I went to school nearby Buffalo. I'm in Ithaca, New York here, but I went to school in Oswego, New York. And my friends and I, who lived in Buffalo, we would go back to Buffalo and go to the Anchor Bar, the originator of the Buffalo chicken wing. We would go there and get wings, and on Friday and Saturday nights, Dodo Green would perform. She would perform every time, every weekend, and she was just awesome. What a character! It really worked the room. It was fun. You're sitting there eating your greasy chicken wings and listening to Dodo Green play music, and she had a great little band, and it was awesome. The Anchor Bar. Hopefully, it's still happening, which I understand is not even the best place to get wings, but I always, think of that when I think of this record. And I actually got this record only about 2 years ago in Buffalo. Went back with some friends and went to Black Dot's, a great shop in Buffalo, and I saw this. I'm like, I gotta get it. I've always wondered about her records. I gotta get it. The record's in nice shape, by the way, but we got this ugly tape job seam here around the spine. That's my story. Okay, needs of vinyl pressing. So, my first choice right away, I was like, Bill Fox's Transit Byzantium from 1998. This is a lo-fi singer-songwriter, stone cold classic record. If you like Guided by Voices, if you like, Sebado, this is amazing. It was on Spin Art originally, and it has never been on vinyl. But guess what? They just announced that it's coming on vinyl at the end of this month, actually, which I'm all over. So many great, beautiful songs, great melodies, sort of got that lo-fi vibe, but, good hooks to it. His voice is awesome. So, let's throw out, since this is technically going to be released on vinyl, I'll also say the last two Morphine albums. Swimming and The Night. Never been on vinyl. I'd love to see those on vinyl because I have the other Morphine records and they're amazing. A common album and an uncommon album. Common. This is one I always try to recommend to people. Country funk. It's sort of like a rural psych sort of country rock album. And on Polydor, 1970. And I always think this is this should be like an easy $25, $30 record. It's not, it's like $10. Clean $10, $15 top, $15 max for a clean copy. Part of Me, the song on here, is A Part of Me is the one that I think Beck used in some respect. He covered it or used it. And this is just a great rootsy country rock record. Look at that. You don't see it that often, but then again, when you look up prices for this, $10, $15. Very good. Uncommon. Uncommon. I'm going to talk about Jody. This is psych out of South America, out of Paraguay. And this is 1967, I think it even is. This is almost predates the lo-fi movement. It's super raw and garagey, but freaky, and big time psych moves on this. Wow, so good. There is a reissue available of this. Here's the original. I got this 2 or 3 years ago. This is the original press out of, it's actually not pressed in Paraguay, Argentinian. I can't recommend this one enough. Look for the reissue. It's gonna knock your socks off, blow your mind with how raw it is and catchy. It just got the right thing. And then I also threw in here a single. It didn't come with it, but I also bought this, and I just included it with it. Uncommon. Not crazy expensive, but worth every penny. The album is called, what is the album called? I think the reissue, it's got a different title. Oh, Pops the Vanguardia by Jody. Get that back in there. Alright, let's move along here. So, that's Uncommon. EPs. I had 2 great ideas for EPs, so I actually went with two different choices. One's a 7-inch, one's a 12-inch. 12-inch the one and only record by the Tripes. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Feelies, and this is basically the Feelies. Bill Millions and Glenn Mercer and Stan Demesky, even, who are all in the Feelies, and Brenda Sauter, who's all the quartet of the Feelies right now, but with some other people. And this is them kind of going for more of a wistful, sort of more psychish, but with the Feelies vibe. It really hits both vibes, and it's on the Great Coyote label, one that doesn't get much love out of Hoboken. I have some great records on Coyote. So check this one out. There's a reissue of this with like other stuff on it, but this one you can get, I don't think it's very much. 7-inch EP is The Verge, band out of Albany. And I'm a little biased because my friend Tom Murray was in this band, and I love this. This is a 4-track EP. Sort of got the elements of punk, but is super catchy and has a post-punk vibe to it. They played with the Ramones. This is like the inner sleeve. They've done gigs with Mission of Burma, and the great songwriting, great melodies. And I was in a band with the bass player Tom, a friend of mine, not too long ago. So I'm a little biased. I wanted to sort of shout that out. All right. What else we have here? Girl group. So I was thinking about just like a typical girl group, like, you know, 60s girl group, or even like a garage pop one, like The Cake, or the LHI band, Honey Limited. But I decided to go with some post-punk because I collect tons of it. And we got to talk about Kleenex, Lilliput, Swiss. All the hallmarks of great punk, great post-punk. These are their 2 albums when they had to change their name to Lilliput. Their early singles are all under the Kleenex guys. Obviously, they had to change their name. These are the original 45s on Sunrise. They had singles on Rough Trade as well. Love the art. They just are the best. One of my favorite groups, period. Kleenex. These are all from the late 70s, early 80s. A few great YouTube videos of them performing. Look those up. But for girl groups, I could pick a ton. Gotta go with Kleenex / Lilliput. Alright. Album cover. Obviously, I could pick a lot of psych covers. I kind of did. Gilberto Gill, self-titled. Gilberto Gill. From 67, I think, or 68. This cover. I saw this at the local record shop where I actually work as well. And your mom, shout out. I actually didn't buy it when they had it, but I just was stare at the cover all day and dream about paying the amount of money it would cost to bring that home. And then found a good deal on one online, as we do. But just love what he's doing here. This face here and this face here and everything about it. It's beautiful. Tropicalia, Brazilian progressive pop, MPB, all of that stuff. And this is the first on Phillips. 2021 Tag. Love this. Album listened to the most. There's tons of ideas for that. First one that came to mind is one that I spun in the car, spun at home for years, and it's sort of an uncharacteristic album for the band. It's Yo La Tengo's 1990 album, Fake Book. This is them doing all covers with the exception of Barnaby Hardly Working, which is theirs redone. You got the Kinks on here, you got Gene Clark on here, you got The Scene Is Now, I think it is. You have, I think it's Great Lakes, I think they also cover. Dude, Yo La Tengo always picking deep tracks, and this is just beautiful. Great versions of the songs. I love one of our favorites for the family is Griselda, the Holy Moly Rounders with Michael Hurley. Every song is great, and it's them sort of doing, it's folky, they're just using acoustic instruments, and this is like before their prime records, so it's like Yo La Tengo, always consistent, and one of my favorite bands. This one, not to be overlooked. Listen to a ton. Okay, OG that I had to have of original pressing out, there's a few I could have picked, but I thought of this. 1975's Debris, Static Disposal is the title and the label, I think. If you don't know this record, and you like the Stooges, you like proto-punk, I submit this to you. This is up there with the Stooges. It's that good. And I had a reissue. You can get the reissue. And a little story. It's signed by the band, as many private releases were. This year, during the pandemic, got that silly Trump money with the Trump check. We got some money for the family. We did the dumbest thing we could do with it, which was pay off a veterinary bill. And I'm like, I'm going to do something dumb with this dumb money. Because this is like... And we needed the money. And we used it for what we had to. But I was able to figure out... And I had some other money I made from PayPal. And along with that and some of the dumb Trump money, I splurged on original pressing. And it's one of these things that I think it should be 3 times, I think, what it goes for. It's that good. It's got electronic sounds in it, saxophone, hard driving punk rhythm. The vocals are great. The songs are great. They're out of Oklahoma. Never really followed this up. And is it Oklahoma? I believe it's Oklahoma. Yeah. Chickasha, Oklahoma. Other than the Flaming Lips, who else do you know out of Oklahoma? Look this one up. I cannot say enough about this record. It's amazing. It knocks my socks off. OG. Alright, last album I bought. I've been buying a lot of records. I love doing that, but the most one recently I bought was the most recent album by the Bats on Flying Nun. Robert Scott on guitar. He's the bassist for The Clean. If you know anything about the New Zealand music scene and Flying Nun, all those bands switch around and would form other side projects and things. But the Bats has been together since the early to mid 80s. And this is another solid, great, jangly, catchy, slightly psychedelic, wistful record by the Bats. Just came out. This is called Foothills. Okay, a record they don't get. I have 2 choices for this. There's a lot I could have taken from the private press zone, and I'm hopefully putting some of this music in the back. But the first one, maybe the most obvious, maybe the one I would stand by, as far as the one that I would pick for this, is Kali Bahlu's Cosmic Remembrance. Cosmic Remembrance. This is on the World Pacific label, mostly a jazz label, and this is like, you got to hear this. You might hear this and want to trash it. I love it. George, Angry Mom, you know, he turned me on to this. He loves it. It's hippy dippy sort of sitar, cosmic sounds with sort of inspirational voiceover, where she's talking about all sorts of ridiculous. It's called Cosmic Remembrance. You might get an idea. A cosmic telephone call from the angel Leal and the Buddha. She talks a lot about the Buddha and marijuana, and it's like total cash in. And I played this one time for a few people. I was like, I kind of was in the mood, like, I just don't want to hear anything ever again other than this. This just kills me. And they were like, you're crazy. But I submit this. I mean, the Shags came up right away as like, people don't get, and there are still people who think that record sucks. I think it's one of the greatest ever, by the way. But I wanted to pick something a little bit different. I'll say this. And also, Charlie Tweddle. Or Charlie Tweddle. This is Greatest Hits. This is a bizarre record. A lot of people won't get this. It's a guy sitting in his backyard with nature sounds, playing seemingly sporadic country guitar and sort of singing. At one point, there's a whole side of just nighttime sounds, frogs, crickets. It's a weird record. This is a reissue. There's originals are pretty pricey on this. There is a demand for it, but most people don't get it. These are both records I love, but you may not. Having fun. That's what this is about. Okay, a couple more. Punk album. Ivy Green. This is a Dutch punk group from 70... Is it from the great year of 77? I don't remember. This is a reissue. Originals are pretty pricey. It was on the Pogo label. 78. I think this is... Yeah. I love this, though. I wanted to pick something maybe a little bit left of center. And this is like sloppy, jangly, loose, catchy punk. It's great. You know, I don't know anything much more about them other than the year, and it's Dutch. And it just sort of hits the right vibe of like shambolic rock and roll, kind of like a little bit like Pussy Galore, like not as chaotic, I guess, but just it feels like it's gonna fall apart any second. But they're still catchy and and fun. Ivy Green, self-titled. And last, my favorite reissue of 2020. A lot I could have picked. The Pylon box would probably be right there. I'm going to go with Roy Montgomery from the Pin Group and Dadama, and this reissue by Yellow Electric, which is like the grouper label. Actually, it's Grapefruit. This is his record Scenes from the South Island. It's a double LP of guitar experiments and sort of soundscapes, and it's just stunning. If you like Dead Sea, but a little more tranquil, if you like just guitar explorations done in a sort of space rocky, minimalist, cosmic soundscape, I highly recommend this. He's done a lot of other records too. This one, I guess, there's been a long demand for. The originals are quite pricey. The reissue may be gone, I don't know. But I love this record. Double album on the Grapefruit label. Roy Montgomery in the Pin Group, a very early punk group from New Zealand. He's done other projects too, as well as Dadama, which is sort of more of a shoegaze band he did in the 90s. Right around when he did this, he was doing Dadama. But this is him just trying stuff out. Roy Montgomery. Alright, that's it. That's my vinyl tag. You're it, I guess. Thank you for watching this. Thanks for putting it together. I've been really enjoying watching all the videos I've seen. I'm new. I've been doing this a long time. Just finally decided to start making videos. Thanks for your support. If you care, watch more. I got a lot of good ideas coming up for videos. I want to do my vinyl origin story label I'd like to highlight called Companion. I want to highlight that reissue label. And gonna do a bunch more. A really good psych video, because that's something I have a pretty wide taste of. A lot of records. And thank you. That's it. Vinyl tag. Take care.